COVID-19 surprised the world with a number of reasons, but more importantly, there has been a number of changes that is taking place in our day-to-day activities, in our routines, which has also increased the amount of stress level, anxiety, loneliness, and also this has been pushed to a number of other reasons as to what will happen to my business, what will happen to my lifestyle. All of this are jam-packed situation, not only you who is watching as a viewer, every one of us are in it together, that we go through with the whole world. There are positives that we can look at a crisis situation such as COVID-19 that we are facing right now. And as the national television, we wanted to enlighten you as to how you can make use of this time to look at it in a very brighter perspective. The positive side that you can learn in the form of transforming yourself and preparing how to live a better life. So we'd like to call this COVID-19 on mental health, but bringing a lot of positive energy to all our viewers. So we'd like to invite you to this very important show, while we also introduce you to our guest who is joining us here on the show to take you through insights and details as to why it's important, why do we go through this phase, and what we can do in order to take things forward in a very positive message. We're joined today by the consultant psychiatrist and the senior lecturer of the Kothalawala Defence University, Dr. Niel Fernando, and we also have with us the Chief Operating Officer of Resilience Within, Mr. Sahan Dharmatilleke, organization which specializes in providing emotional intelligence training across the globe. Well, welcome and good to have you with us. We are great to see you all safe and empowered and also active. How has it been for the both of you so far?
Not bad.
Going well?
Going well.
All right. Time is of the essence, so let me get on to the nitty-gritties. People go on to a mental health block right now, as we see it, because here we are going on our day-to-day routines, and suddenly this has been an issue that brings us saying work from home, and okay, we start working from home, and then there is a question of I used to go travel 1 hour on the road, and then now they're telling me to work from home. I'm not used to online system, and then I have a screaming child that asks for, "Ammi, is my food ready? What do I have to eat?" And then you prepare, you cook, you manage all of that, you do your little housework, and then we go to bed. And we also have information, misinformation, all of this in like a complete jam that we're trying to adapt ourselves into this crisis that we're going through. Doctor, why does it happen? In the form of a mental block, why can't we be like a robot to switch the plug and move on to the next thing?
Yeah. Let me begin with two messages that the World Health Organization has been giving to us. Mm-hmm. One is that there is no development without health. That's the first message. And the second message is that there is no health without mental health. Mm. So mental health is an integral part of health, and that is what we are going to discuss today. So mental health becomes important in this crisis. Now when we talk of mental health, and it's about the mind and the wellness of the mind, there are three important elements that we need to understand in the mind. The three elements are, the first is our thoughts, what we call cognition, or our thinking, what we think. The second element is how we feel, that is the emotional part of it. And the third element is the behavior, what we do. So what we think, what we feel, and what we do are the three basic elements. And these three are actually related to each other. So we call it interrelated. They are related to each other, and also they are dependent on each other. So when one changes, the other two also will automatically change. So how we think, now coming on to this issue, how people think about the present crisis, the way they understand it, way they interpret it, way they absorb it, affects their feelings, naturally. So the feelings can be, you can get frightened, you can become anxious, you can become sad. Those are the feelings that you experience. But that depends on how you actually think about it. And the two will actually affect how you behave, what you do actually. So we need to actually understand this, how this works actually. So if you look at any situation in a what we call a positive way, so positive thinking will actually generate positive emotions, which will also lead to positive behavior. Similarly, the other way also is also correct. If you look at things in a very negative way, you will have a lot of negative emotions, and also you will behave in a negative way. So it's up to the person who actually looks at it, understands it, and then respond to it. So that is, I think, the basic thing about this mind and wellness of the mind. So looking at things in a very positive way, making use of this challenging situation as an opportunity.
And Mr. Dharmatilleke, now people have accepted the fact that this is a crisis that's happening around the globe. Accepting is a big part.
Yes,
and some of them are probably taking this very chilled. I'm all right. But there are people who actually have this fear, thinking like Corona is a person.
Yes.
And in simple terms, they use words like "api langatama aava." It's how they see it. Why does that acceptance come into place, and then adapting to it is somewhat difficult? Why is that?
Yes. So maybe it's valuable for the viewers to know the science behind stress. So, as you said, Corona has become a person now. So whether it's an actual life-threatening situation, for example, let's say you're walking in the Yala Natural Forest Reserve, and you come to face to face with a leopard. You know, a black leopard was found quite recently, right? And it's a man-eating leopard. What would you do? How would you react? Your body, within milliseconds, a very primitive part of the brain called the amygdala lights up. It actually sends information to your hippocampus, which in turn sends information to your adrenal cortex glands, which releases cortisol, adrenaline. So your heart rate is elevated. You start perspiring. Your blood sugar level increase, and your sensors heighten. So that's a life-threatening situation. That's essential for your survival. So our ancestors who lived 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 years back had the same defense mechanism. So when you're thinking about Corona as a person, the same thing happens. When you get an email from your boss, the same thing happens. When you have an argument with your wife, the same thing happens. So irrespective whether it's a made-up thing in your mind or an actual physical threat, your body's stress response mechanism activates the same way. So that's the science. So how can you overcome such a very primitive, it's a very primitive survival mechanism that our bodies have built, not against it, but for our survival. So it's essential. So one thing, one little technique that special forces soldiers use, Navy SEALs, is breathing. It's called 4x4 tactical breathing or deep diaphragmatic breathing. So you can actually activate your parasympathetic nervous system by taking deep rhythmic breaths. So for example, if I were to teach our audience members, I would encourage them to practice alongside me. So you keep your back straight, your neck straight, and you can keep your right hand on your stomach. So when you breathe in, your stomach should expand. So we start by taking a deep breath in. And you hold for 4 seconds. Wait, and then you exhale. And when you exhale, your stomach contracts. You hold again for 4 seconds. And again you breathe in. So you do 3-4 rounds, whether you like it or not, you feel calm, you feel relaxed. If it works for a special forces soldier who gets shot quite regularly, it should work for you. So this is one little technique that you can use.
I'm sure there are more techniques that we would love to learn, but also going by the subject on anxiety and anger. We've heard this is an opportunity also which brings families together. People have more time to sit and talk, get to know what their child's school report was like, etc. But domestic violence has also increased. However, the number of reports when it comes to accidents have somewhat reduced. This is based on news and various reports that we've heard. Dr. Niel, now, when we hear domestic violence, it's a bit of a scare. Once upon a time, we used to wait to get out of the house to live in freedom. Now there are memes going on Facebook saying, I can't wait to leave home. How do we ignore this? Because everything, I mean, if we're talking about the spirits, they're closed. And this is more of a lifestyle that you have more time at home. But still, there is more violence.
Yes. Now again, this is again how you look at it, right? Now, most of the time before this corona problem crop up, the common thing was that I don't have time. I like to do this, I like to do that, I like to spend...
Even now they say we don't have time.
Yeah. So time. But now you have time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are forced to, because you have time for yourself. Earlier we didn't have time for ourselves. We were working and we were thinking, and the time was not ours actually. We were working to timetables set by other people. Maybe for the children in the school and also the academic pressures and things like that. At work also we were working for timetables set by others, right? But now we have time for ourselves. So how can we best use of this time? That is, I think, one. So one positive way of looking at it is make use of this time in a more efficient and also more in a positive way. Now, for example, now we have time to think, right? So thinking is actually can generate a lot of new ideas, new ways of doing things, even to look at even your own problems. Time to think about your own problems and find solutions, maybe new ways of trying to solve problems.